Imagine firing your entire marketing team and replacing it with a single browser tab. Sounds impossible, right? A little terrifying, maybe? But here's the thing, it's already happening, quietly, in thousands of companies you've never heard of. Right now, there are websites that can write your emails, design your logo, edit your videos, build your app, and analyze your spreadsheets, all before your coffee gets cold. Not someday, today. And the strangest part, most of them are free or cost less than a single lunch. So what changed? Why is a single website suddenly able to do what used to take an entire office full of people? The answer traces back to a handful of breakthroughs at places like OpenAI, and it's not just one clever trick, it's a shift in how machines understand language, images, and logic all at once. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which 10 websites are quietly replacing entire departments, how they actually work under the hood, and, maybe the most unsettling part, what this means for your own job in the next few years. Because once you see what these tools can really do, you'll never look at a team of 100 the same way again. Think about a single chef versus an entire restaurant kitchen. 100 cooks can chop, grill, plate, and serve at the same time. One chef, working alone, has to do it all in sequence. But if that chef had perfect memory, infinite hands, and never got tired, they could eventually match the whole kitchen's output. That's roughly what's happening with AI websites right now. They're not smarter than 100 people. They're just tireless, and they never need to be managed. Here's where it all started. Back in 2017, a team of researchers at Google published a paper called Attention is All You Need. It introduced something called the transformer, a way for a computer to look at an entire sentence at once and figure out which words mattered most to each other instead of reading word by word like a nervous student sounding out a paragraph. At the time, almost nobody outside the research world noticed. It was a technical paper, buried in academic language, solving a narrow problem in translation software. But that one idea, teaching a machine to pay attention to context, became the foundation for nearly every AI tool you use today. 5 years later, OpenAI took that same core idea and scaled it up to an almost absurd size, training it on a huge slice of the internet. The result could write essays, debug code, and hold a conversation that felt startlingly human. That was the moment the technology stopped being a research curiosity and started being a product. And once one company proved it could work, everyone else raced to build their own version, for writing, for design, for video, for spreadsheets, for basically every task a human does at a desk. So if one breakthrough in 2017 eventually led to machines that can write, design, and code, what happens when you actually put 10 of these tools side by side and ask them to do real work? Let's actually put them side by side, because this is where it stops being theory and starts being uncomfortable. Take writing. A tool like Jasper can produce a full marketing campaign, headlines, ad copy, email sequences, in the time it takes a human copywriter to finish their first cup of coffee. Simple enough, right? A simple autocomplete. But here's the complication. These tools aren't just predicting the next word anymore. They're holding an entire brand voice in memory, adjusting tone for different platforms, and testing multiple versions against each other automatically. That's not autocomplete, that's a strategist. Now go one layer deeper. Take design. Canva's AI features can take a single sentence, create an Instagram ad for a coffee shop, and generate a finished on-brand visual in seconds. A junior designer might take an hour. But wait, here's the problem with that comparison. The AI isn't just making one image, it can make 50 variations instantly and let you pick the best one. That's not replacing one designer, that's replacing an entire design team's iteration process. And then there's video. Tools like Runway can take raw footage and cut it, color grade it, remove backgrounds, and even generate entirely new scenes that were never filmed, using nothing but a text description.
In 2023, an independent filmmaker used exactly this kind of tool to produce a short film with special effects that would have previously required a Hollywood budget. That actually happened. Not a demo, a released film. Here's the surprising implication nobody talks about. These tools aren't 10 separate specialists. They're starting to talk to each other. A script written by one AI tool can be fed directly into a video tool, which feeds into a voice cloning tool, which feeds into a distribution tool that schedules and posts everywhere automatically. The team of 100 isn't 10 people replaced by 10 tools. It's 10 tools replacing the entire chain of people who used to hand work off to each other. This means that the real disruption isn't about any single job. It's about the coordination between jobs, the meetings, the handoffs, the waiting. AI doesn't get tired waiting for someone else's draft. But if machines can now write, design, edit, and coordinate an entire workflow without a single human in the loop, what's actually left for the humans? What's left for humans? Judgment, taste, the decision about what's actually worth making in the first place. Here's the truth these tools can't touch. They don't know what's good. They know what's statistically likely based on everything they've seen before. A human still has to look at 10 AI-generated options and say, that one has something the others don't. That instinct hasn't been automated. Not yet, anyway. And this is where you zoom out. This isn't really a story about 10 websites. It's a story about what happens to an economy when the cost of producing work drops to almost zero. For decades, hiring 100 people was the only way to get 100 people's worth of output. That assumption is now breaking, quietly, industry by industry. Marketing agencies, design studios, video production houses, all shrinking their teams while somehow producing more. Which raises a question nobody has fully answered yet. If a handful of tools can do the work of 100 people, what happens to the 100 people? Some will move up into the judgment and taste roles these tools can't fill. Others may simply be left behind, and no one, not even the people building these tools, is entirely sure what the right answer is. So here's the reframe worth sitting with. The future isn't about AI replacing humans. It's about one human armed with the right tools, quietly becoming as powerful as an entire company used to be. If this changed how you think about AI and work, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss a video like this. And drop in the comments, if you had access to just one of these 10 tools, which part of your job would you hand off first?